Another day, another thought. Welcome all to another edition of the Double Thought Show. Hope you guys are doing amazing. As you guys know, I'm RJ here together with my co-host KR. KR, what's up, man?
I'm doing great, as one Shannon Sharpe once said.
Awesome. I think it was the Tiger who said it first, but who's
Well,
keeping
I'm
track?
quoting him because we're talking about him today.
Thanks to everyone that's watching this pre-recorded live show as well as those watching the rebroadcast. We have a good one for you today, so sit back and enjoy today's show.
Yes, guys, before we start with the show, let's start with the usual things we always say at the beginning of the show. Don't forget to press on that like button, guys. It really helps us get the show out there through the ether so other people can also see it. It helps definitely with the recommendations and all that other stuff. So please hit that like button so that we can spread the word.
Yes, the gospel.
Yes, and that gospel is also being spread to the Instagrams and the Facebooks. Guys, don't forget to follow us on those social media networks. And so you're always up to date. We are trying to, we have some plans now. We are trying to create some more media, for those outlets. So we are trying to work towards that right now. Please, follow us so you can get the newest of the new
Yes,
right
yes.
there. We also see that about well, I think 95% of you guys are watching the videos but still haven't subscribed yet. If you like the content we're creating, just hit that subscribe button. We will appreciate it, of course. It gives us also uh, the the subscribers we need to reach our goal. RJ, do we have a goal? What is that goal?
Yes. We have a goal in life because we're not losers. The goal we have for this channel is we want to reach 1,000 subs by the end of June of this year. Guys, it's tight, but it's possible. We, as KR said, we are, as KR said, we are, that sounds crazy. It's
That
tight.
sounded crazy.
That sounded crazy.
That sounded crazy, guys. Whatever is tight, it's definitely of age. Let's put it that way.
Yes, but what? Yeah. Okay, so so the yeah, we want to reach 1,000, and we have 2 months to get there. And we need about 800 subs. It's not impossible, guys, but we do need your assistance with it. As KR said, about 95% of people who are watching, who are engaging, who are commenting, aren't subscribed, and we really appreciate we would really appreciate it if you could subscribe, because of course your engagement and your support helps, but subscription is a objective way of helping us, because it helps us not only to get our videos further in the or deeper in the ether, but it also helps us to get the necessary threshold in order to get monetized.
Yes, and once monetized, we can do much more, guys. That's
Definitely.
basically the fact, and we have great plans. We have basically a kind of a roadmap already, and once we reach that point, we can just go off, as they would say. And the way you can also help us to reach that goal is by pressing, of course, sharing. But let's go first with hitting that that subscribe button and also the notification bell, so you're always up to date on when we post new videos, shorts, or um, new content, basically. Don't forget to share the video with your friends, family, the auditor of your state, the high school quarterback genius you have, and also don't forget to share it with the thieves of your state. And also the enemy, so you can strike him out with a rose.
So poetic. Okay.
You have a disclaimer, RJ. Please share it.
Yes, yes. Before we proceed with the show, the usual disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in the videos and the videos, articles, and documents we show here on the Double Thought channel do not necessarily reflect the thoughts and opinions of KR, myself, nor the channel. All topics we discuss for entertainment purposes only. Remember that viewer discretion is advised, and all commentary is alleged because here on the Double Thought show, we don't know anything. Furthermore, we are in no means financial advisors of any sort. So if you require assistance in a particular area in your life, be it life, legal, love, and of course, any other kind of advice, mental, maybe you're a drug addict and you need to stop. We strongly urge you to seek the assistance of the respective professionals in the field. Good thing you didn't say anything. That can, that might be more adapt to helping you with the areas in which you need assistance. For anything else, regard as it pertains to entertainment, we welcome you to the Double Thought Show.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything. I was probably the closest I was to putting you solo on the screen. That's the closest I was to. But don't choke during the show, please.
No,
I
no.
don't cannot do CPR from here.
And
From
then-
I mean from here, guys. If you don't know, from here is from my mama's basement.
Mama's
so
basement. Yeah, yeah.
it is what it is, guys. I'm struggling. I'm the struggling one of the two of us. So
Yeah.
hit that subscribe button. Please try to get out of my mama's basement.
That's a that's a
Hey guys.
that's a that's a pity call to action. You're using you're using sign language to get that subscribe.
Hey, blink if you're in trouble. Blink if you need a subscriber. Hey guys, let's start with it.
Bora! Hora do show!
It's showtime, guys. Welcome at the Double Thought Show. We always make jokes like this, guys. It's a fun. We try to have a fun show as always. So anyway, guys, today we're going to talk about. I don't know. Oh, guys, let's start the show. Today we're going to talk about the latest in the Brett Favre saga. If you guys don't know, we have talked about Brett Favre in the past. He has sued Shannon Sharpe, Shad White, and Pat McAfee for defamation. That happened back in February. And since then, a lot of things have happened. People were talking wild, talking greasy, taking shots at each other via the social media. And here we are today. Today we're going to talk about the latest update in this saga, which is about Shannon Sharpe and Shad White filing a motion to dismiss. We will look at what they are trying to say, and also what they're not trying to say, and also Brett's response to those motions. RJ, do you have anything to add?
No, it's just well, the only thing that I can add is that so you clearly see what uh, court case is about by covering these topics, specifically this case, because as you guys know, guys, we're covering not only this case, but we are also covering the Michael Irving case. We covered Nate Diaz case, a bunch of cases. We invite you to check out the playlist, the live show playlist, and the clips we we publish during weekdays as well. But what you can see is that it's a fight. That means that both parties, or at least all parties, can throw punches. And just when you think that someone is, that a party has received a punch to the chin, he's wobbling, you might think he's out. You see him throwing haymakers or maybe swinging all over the place, hoping it can catch something. But that makes it all the more interesting and all the more exciting, because until a judge has until the case, or at least any case, has reached its conclusion, you will always have a uncertainty as to what the results will be. And if you're objective about things, a lot of people aren't objective these days, but if you're objective about things in life, but specifically court cases, disputes, and things of that matter, you will always realize you will realize that in a majority of the cases, both parties have arguments where you can say, I can see something in that, and other arguments where you might think, yeah, probably should have they probably should go back to the drawing board because it's not working out, bruv.
Oh, that's the punchline. Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
No, that's the punchline.
Anyway, so that I do agree with you on that. That's that. I mean, we have seen some crazy things on these cases. Some remarks where you ask yourself, man, who paid this dude? Is this a real lawyer, or is it did he got his 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 accreditation from Disneyland? Who knows? I mean, he won a ride. He did made this bar exam, and then now he's bar exam done at the Disneyland. I don't know. It's kind of crazy sometimes. But guys, today, as we said, we're going to discuss this topic, and I guess we can start.
Where do we begin?
As we always say, where do we begin? And we begin, as always, at our playlist, guys. We have a nice playlist with all what has happened so far in this case. As you can see, let me zoom in a little bit. We have covered this case from the start. If you want to see what has happened in between February, when Brett filed the lawsuit against all three of these guys, you can start there and just go down the playlist and see what has happened. All the red ones are the live shows, and all the green ones are the clips from those live shows. And what you can see is that there has been a lot has transpired in between then and now. Text messages have been exposed. I mean, some crazy text, RJ.
Yeah.
Some you can almost say, Brett, maybe you shouldn't have never pressed send on that one.
Yeah.
And of course, all these motions, or at least a couple of them, point also, at least the one from Pat McAfee, points also at those texts. You ask
Yeah,
yourself, Brett, man, if you didn't know, why are you asking yourself or asking the other person in this conversation if this and this and this happens? Please keep that on the wraps. Anyway, look at those shows, guys, and you will see all those things that happened before. And today, of course, we are going to talk about, first of all, Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe seeks dismissal of Brett Favre lawsuit over welfare scandal comments. Last week, RJ basically said that this is probably the week where Shannon was going to respond because he had asked for, I mean, twice already. He asked for whether he can respond later, right?
yes, he asked for an extension twice. The second time, for sure, he got a. So the reason why he asked it, at least the second time, was because of the fact that he apparently just got new lawyers, or I
Hmm.
don't know if he had other lawyers before that, but let's say his current lawyers, who are the current lawyers who are assisting him, have haven't had the time, haven't had the time to look at to review the documents and to prepare a response uh, before those deadlines. So that's why he asked for the motion. And the deadline, or at least, yeah, he asked for an extension. And the deadline of the extension was on May 3rd, which was last week. And as we already said, we mentioned in the previous show of last week, we would cover it if, let's say, he we would cover it in today's show if
If you would
he
respond.
if he would have responded, which he did, which is why we're here, because here on the Double Touch Show we are men of our words.
Or in other languages, we are human of our words. Guys, so basically Shannon responded uh, to that. I mean, to the statement of Brett, and
Yeah.
he asked for a dismissal. It's clear here. Per AJ Perez of Front Office Sports, Sharpe's lawyers filed a motion on behalf of the client with the U.S. State's District Court in the Southern District of Mississippi on Wednesday. Sharpe's opinion commentary based on the reported facts and couched in rhetorical hyperbole or hyperbole, as some of the say, regarding an issue of public concern about the public figure, lie at the core of the protection of afforded by the First Amendment and Mississippi law.
Yeah.
I mean, and also not other things in this response is they are pointing out a lot of things relating. Well, it seems like I think I also asked you in the last show. Would you expect Shannon and Pat's lawyers to work together in this case? And it seems like they are they at least have looked. I mean, these lawyers, the Shannon Sharpe lawyers, have at least looked at Pat's response to take some points from that. It seems like, right?
Well, I don't know if they looked at it to take some points, but the arguments are more or less the same, because
I mean, they
the
refer to
claims.
to the other one as well, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, as so in cases like these, the criteria is set by law, and the defense, you know what you need to defend. Let's say what elements you need to defend yourself against. And I mean, here they can of course reference each other, but I don't think that the that their arguments would have changed, would have been different if Pat hadn't filed before them. Of course, Shad White's situation is different because
Yes.
he is a
Auditor.
his role is different. He's not a sports reporter as the other two, but if you look at the motion, the complaint that Brett Favre filed against Brett Favre and Shannon Sharpe respectively, they are more or less the same. So he's accusing them both of doing the same things, the same thing, albeit in different wording. But he's saying that their claims did not have any base or legal grounds. He's saying that they did it for clout, essentially, which is something which is, let's say, different.
Yeah, because with Shannon Sharpe, they focus on his rant, of course, where he basically said, and I quote AJ Perez, and probably AJ Perez is quoting Shannon. He stole money from people that really needed that money. That seemed to be the focal point.
Yeah.
And in Sharpe's opinion, commentary based on reported facts. That's what I already said before. So I mean that was I remember watching that clip, and Shannon really unloaded on. Oh, that was crazy, but he unloaded on Brett. In the worst way possible. He really went in. Right?
Yeah.
You watched it?
Yeah, I did watch it. And
Guys? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I mean, no, I did watch, but he always goes in.
Yeah, that is true. Guys, let us know in the comments what you thought about that rant from Shannon Sharpe. We're not going to show it in this show because we don't want to get any copyright strikes. You can just search it up, Shannon Sharpe, Brett Favre commentary, and then you can find it on YouTube. Let us know in the comments what you think about that. I mean, that rant. Do you think he's right? Do you think he's wrong? Should he be sued about what he said? Or is it somewhere in between? Let us know in the comments. So yeah, we have Shannon basically saying that take a hike. He's telling Brett and his lawyers to take a hike and asking the judge to dismiss this. RJ, what are the chances this is actually the judge will agree with and try to dismiss it?
I think the chances are I think he has as
Within a
much.
month or so. Well, I mean, we discussed this also, of course, looking at the case we discussed last week with Mississippi. Is it tied to that case as well?
It can be tied. It can be tied to that case. So, if, let's say, if the judge finds that the statements that Shannon Sharpe made, and this goes for Brett Favre as well, if he finds that the statements are within the reasonable scope of what a reporter can say based on what they have, then it doesn't really matter if, let's say, it will turn out to be true or not. And I'm referring here to what Brett Favre is accused of in Mississippi. So I don't know if I made myself clear. So if it's just if the judge finds that the claims that they made and the statements they made are harmless, that it doesn't really matter whether or not they are true or not. If they're harmless and within the scope of what journalists can do and say based on let's say, the information they had at that point. But if the judge does find that the claims are heavy, and in this case, they both are claiming that Brett Favre stole money or something to that extent, if the judge finds that the statements are too harsh, then the judge might say, stealing is a heavy word, so we need to really process or at least finish the case, or I will deny your motion to dismiss, and we will just litigate until we reach the end.
Mm.
So that it all depends on whether the comments on themselves are harmless or not.
Okay. So, guys, I mean, in general, when it comes to Shannon and Pat McAfee, these are public figures, so everyone knows them, and it seems like if you look at the comments, both on our clips, but also on Twitter, it seems like it's not looking good for Brett when it comes to the public opinion. People seem to have made their minds. So you got to ask yourself, is this even gonna help his likability within the public eye? People seem to already have to made up their mind, right, RJ?
Yeah, it does seem like that. And it's not only because of what is happening now, but Brett Favre has a track record of questionable behavior. And so this is just like the icing on the cake. And I think at this point, people don't really care whether or not he's guilty, or, if he did something or not, because it's not the first time that this name is popping up in a controversy. If this was the first time, then people would give him the benefit of the doubt. But I'm pretty sure that people already have their minds made up.
Yeah, it seems that way, and I think probably if you look at so I'll give you guys a couple of examples I have here in front of me. Um, can you guys see it? Let me zoom in a little bit. It says Don Montgomery says, "Stay on the next AJ, amplifying this because Brett should be in jail." Another person responded to AJ Perez Twitter his tweet. Did Shannon lie? Another person said Farve is a scumbag. And then yet another person said Brett Favre is suing Shannon Sharpe. Says a lot about our society. I mean, and countless of other clips we have seen as well. I mean, it seems like people might be really tired of Brett Favre, and he might have shot his load, as they say. People don't believe him anymore. People, wow, that sounded kind of crazy. Again, guys, come on, guys. He has played his hand. People are like, we don't care about whether you did it or not. It's too often. People give you maybe too often. People think they might have given him too many chances.
Yeah.
People are
And I
tired.
think people were done with him already. Before, I think even during his career, people started checking out.
Yeah, you mean when he was retiring and coming back?
Yeah, for example, yeah. So
Well, who does he think he is? Jay-Z.
well,
Well, he's not, because JC is still off. No, but yes. So sorry, continue, RJ.
no, that's just what I wanted to say. It's but no, I don't have nothing else to add.
Yeah, so it's well, I mean, you have one case. So the first case that came to, well, that was very with which we discussed before, was Pat McAfee. He filed his motion to dismiss. and Brett's lawyers responded to that. It was a okay response, even though there were some questionable things in that response. You might ask yourself, "Ooh, and that's not really a good point." Guys, go look at previous shows. We've talked about this before. Um, then you have this case, which was dismissed. Sorry, the motion dismissed was filed last week, so we
Yeah.
will of course wait on the response from his lawyer, but we can already guess what it will be said. And then we have Shad White.
Yeah. Okay. I can I just make one last remark?
Of course, you can.
Uh, uh, Shannon Sharpe is a very, to me, a very inspirational person. If you hear his story, where he came from, how hard he worked, um, he was basically, if I'm not mistaken, living in a house
Grandmother.
with his grandmother and grandfather. He has all those famous quotes. My granddaddy used to say, "Fill in blank." But he did everything for his grandmother. He looked up to his brother, a bigger brother who was also an NFL player.
Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling Sharp, and he basically worked hard, but he was thinking that he had to get his grandmother out of the situation where she was in. So that was his motivation. But he's had a very impressive career. He's a Hall of Famer, and but you can see the way he is, the way he talks. He is a top. He strives to be great. He strives to be great. Doesn't do any reckless things. He says he doesn't really go out much. It's just work and sleep, or work and sleep.
Well, the reckless part, I'm not sure. Paying for someone's divorce.
Nah, I
I'm
mean,
just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. But continue.
to him it's nothing. To him it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, if I pay it off, then but what I want to say, what I want to get at is that this person works very hard, and he was just doing his job. He's just made a commentary based on news that was there. It's not like he broke the news. There was the news or other news outlets were talking already about the whole issue, the scandal involving Brett Favre. So it's not like he was the first one who did it, but yet he, for some reason, Brett Favre chose to single him out. And I think it's a shame that someone works very hard doing what he does, let's say to be great at things, and he makes a comment that's actually, first of all, he didn't break the news, and it was at that particular time based on let's say news. It was news at that particular time. And thirdly, up until now, I'm not really convinced that Brett Favre didn't know. Like he's acting as if he's innocent, but I'm not convinced of that. A judge will ultimately decide. But it's just a shame that someone works very hard and then gets into something like this. It's like Brett Favre. This doesn't help Brett Favre's image either. Especially because you're doing it. I mean, he chose Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharpe, two very likable guys. I
Yeah.
mean, you're people don't like you already. Now you choose to make yourself the real villain. It's like you're a joke.
Well, guess he's a joker because he's driving into the wall full
Yeah.
speed. Yeah, let's see how it works out. I mean, I do agree with you on that. That he chose to. It seems like he chose to file his lawsuit, defamation lawsuit against these two guys that are very popular, very likable. I mean, Pat McAfee's show and also his public image has been growing the past few years, and you see that he's growing, and also a lot of people. His face is in more places where you had it only at his show. Now he's doing TV appearances more often, going on the WWE. So he has a bigger platform. His platform is only growing right now, and for him to sue Pat, it's like yeah, I don't know.
That's a
It also
bar right
show
there.
it also shows kind of maybe I shouldn't say this, but does this show the lack of accountability on
By
his side? Like
on
let's say for example, if let's say hypothetically he says he didn't know about the money coming from where it came from. If you're and we're gonna talk about this later because apparently he was pressuring the he was pressuring uh people for the funding even after being told it was possibly illegal according to CNN. We're going to talk about this later, but if you're saying you didn't know, isn't it your duty to know where the money is coming from? It you should know whether whether you whether the money you're getting. So for example, if you're getting the money, you're getting 1 million out of nowhere. It's like you should know where the money is coming from. You could be tied to money laundering. You don't know. You might end up in a money laundering case, which is for this case was a fraud case. But
yeah.
you should, to me, you should know where the money is coming from.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree with you partially. You should know, but there's a limit to your to how let's say far you need to research something. So if the money was coming, if you're dealing with a government or a governmental entity and you have an agreement with them, it's not a contract law. So an agreement that's in a contract context, but to make it in an administrative context, you've requested subsidy and you've received it. Then the all that it's important is whether or not you should trust the person you're working with and whether you should conduct a compliance a risk and compliance assessment, right? But if we're talking about, let's say, the Mississippi Department of Human MDHS services, I don't remember. So, but you're talking to a governmental body. If you're talking to a legitimate bank, for example, you can assume that you know the the funds are legit. The source of funds are legit. The sources of fund are legit. So that's what he's also trying to hide behind. He's trying to hide behind the fact that he was talking to a governmental body and he was talking to governmental officials and they signed off on the transactions and thus he did not commit fraud.
Oh,
Would have
he
been
got it through to Nancy New, right? So it's not
what did you say?
directly from. He got it via Nancy New, so not directly from the governmental.
Yeah, but in what capacity did he get it from Nancy New?
Well, for his.
But in what capacity was Nancy? In what capacity was Nancy? So the question is, in what capacity Nancy New was operating under when dealing with Farve, and whether or not Farve knew or should have known. So was it as a
If I give you, so Nancy New had that nonprofit where they got the money from the MDHS. She pled guilty to that.
yeah.
If I'm giving you 1.1 million and for gigs, speaking engagements, and you don't show up and I don't say nothing,
So you don't show. So yeah. But that's one aspect, right? The not showing up thing.
You can ask yourself, okay, maybe it's not a clear cut, but it's at least you can say it's very
You don't find that suspicious?
at
You don't
least.
find that suspicious?
Yeah.
I think it's suspicious. So, guys, let's go to the next part of this show, which is Shad White. But before we go to the next part, RJ, subs, you have something to say about that?
Yes, guys, remember to subscribe to our channel. We want to reach 1,000 subs by the end of June of this year. We have a little under 2 months to go. And yeah, we're really working hard, trying to push as well shorts, some shorts out. We've seen some positive feedbacks. So we'll definitely keep that up. But we see that 95% of you are watching but aren't subscribed. And although the watching aspect does help us, we need your commitment to reach our monetization goals. So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Double Thought Show channel. It would really mean a lot to us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, guys, let's go to the next part, which is about the Mississippi auditor, the 42nd one, actually, Shad White. Shad White, also known as the certified fraud examiner of Mississippi, husband, dad, conservative, National Guardsman, Christian, trying to live his will. Not endorsed by USAF or DOD. Shad has also been involved in these defamation cases. He was sued within the same
Time frame.
time span. Yeah, time frame. And Shad has also responded to that with a motion to dismiss. As RJ already pointed out, there is a difference between, of course, Pat and Shannon being public journalists and also public figures. Shad White is totally different, as he is the auditor, the official auditor of Mississippi. He has a different angle he can use in his motion, and he used it as well. He also filed a motion to dismiss in his case. In his case, he pointed out in his motion that as a auditor, he should have more leeway. He should have a protection of an absolute privilege, as he says in his own words, or his words of the person representing him. And that's because of the statements he made in the performance of his official duty as the auditor of Mississippi. I think it's really interesting way to put it, RJ.
Yeah,
In his case.
definitely an interesting way to put it. And it's also good to remark that the the this is not the first time that he is making such a no, this is another okay. So Shad White was the one.
Well, I'm trying to build towards that. Well, I mean, you continue.
This Shad White isn't the one.
I was building towards that, but okay, you did you showed everyone my hand already, so continue.
I didn't show. All I wanted to say, well, Let's continue, KaiR.
You talked about it. You might as well close. Anyway, guys. So basically, he believes, because actually I think RJ, he used the Mississippi what he didn't use a private lawyer to respond to this, right?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. He used let's see. I'm not sure anymore. I think he someone else responded. Anyway, doesn't
No,
matter.
someone else. So the department financed the case.
Yeah.
The case for him. That's what happened. So it's not, he didn't do it himself.
Privately.
He
So
didn't
he
pay it
used
from his own pockets. He paid
tax
from
money.
yeah, basically he didn't pay it from his own pockets. He paid it from tax people's money. Oh, by the way, guys, we're talking about Shad White.
Yeah. Well, make a clear distinction, because everyone is using tax money apparently. Apparently, everyone is
Allegedly.
allegedly. But anyway, so Shad responded to with a motion to dismiss, basically pointing out that he should have absolute privilege because of his duty as an auditor. He can talk, according to him, he can talk reckless because he's the auditor. In other words, which
Yeah.
is kind of a interesting way to look at talking reckless.
Yeah, because so maybe and let me know if I'm breaking some. What he did do was, it's like state auditor is it's a public official.
Yeah.
But what he does that is pretty interesting is that he goes out on Twitter and other platforms to talk about the things going on.
Yeah.
And say, okay, of course he needs to do it because he is the state auditor, but the way he does it,
Yeah.
that's the way he does it. Sometimes he talks wild.
Yeah. So another thing that Shad or the showed or pointed out in his motion to dismiss is that there are a couple of articles that point out that Brett knew what he was doing. According to Shad in his response. And he's using articles like this one. Governor Phil Bryant, former Governor Phil Bryant helped Brett secure welfare fund for USM volleyball stadium. Tax review. So he's pointing out to these articles where they basically show also text messages between Brett and Nancy New. I mean, if you guys, we've talked about this as well, but it's still crazy if you look at the text. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah.
On August 3rd, 2017, so it's been a while. Brett sends to Nancy New, if you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much? And then Nancy New responded with, no, we never have had that information publicized. I understand you being uneasy about that, though. Let's see what happens on Monday with the conversation with some of the folks at Southern. Maybe it will click with them, hopefully. Okay, thanks, Brett Favre response. Whoa, on a day later, Nancy News sends him a text. Whoa, just got off the phone with Phil Bryant. He's on board with us. He will get this done. Brett responds with, awesome. I needed to hear that for sure.
But he can use it maybe as, I don't know. He might use it as a defense.
Well, it's
As a
defense. It's a defense. So that's like a defense with a hole in it, right?
It's like the Phoenix Suns defense during the Steve Nash era. They score a lot, but they also got scored a lot on. So
I mean, this is where we are at. And he points out to this text, to this article, sorry, and the text in this article. He also points out on, like I said before, on the article from CNN, where CNN basically says Brett continued to pressure for volleyball facility funding even after being told it was possibly illegal, according to new filing. Here it says, Nancy, thank you again. John mentioned 4 million. And sure if I heard it, not sure if I heard him right. Very big deal and can't thank you enough. Well, should
that aged badly.
Everything, all the text aged badly.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying he knew, but I mean, it's.
But I think what's so an interesting element in the Shad White and Shad White's defense as well is the fact that he is trying to use or he's claiming that he has immunity from the state that would make it impossible for, or that would make it possible for him to
do
talk
what he
that
do.
talk, to talk that talk, do what he does, and make it impossible for Brett to do something about it. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
So, and that's a pretty interesting thing, comment as well, but it might not go the way but his defense might not go, or at least that defense might not go the way he would want it to go.
Yes, because, and now we're going to getting to it.
See what I did there?
Yeah. After you screw it up. Anyway, guys, so the defense might not be, he might have a hole in his defense, in his motion, because, guys, the layup he gave Brett Favre's lawyers, it's impossible to say this is crazy that he mentioned it as a defense, because apparently Shad White has been sued before for talking reckless. Actually, the lawyers from the Brett Favre's lawyers had even an exhibit in their response pointing exactly what happened. Shad White was apparently talking reckless about another case. That person sued Shad. Shad used the same defense, actually almost the same defense. I cannot be touched. I'm Tony Montana. Well, I guess he met his equal in that case, because the judge was like, yeah. Sorry, Shad.
Yeah.
You can be touched. Actually, we're gonna bury you. No, I'm just kidding. No, but guys, of course, it's all jokes and games. But the judge, well, the judgment in that case was that the person suing Shad for talking reckless won that case, and yet Shad, who seems to be wearing a football helmet every day, decided to put on the football helmet and run again towards the same wall.
Hey. I know it didn't work. The last couple of downs, but let's try that route again.
let's run it back.
I know they stop you every time, but let's run it back.
It's like the no, anyway, guys, let's run it back. He thought he could run it back. He was talking reckless. He's been a loose cannon in the past, and Yet he hasn't learned from his mistakes, or maybe he thought this time it's proven that he has, according to his own statement, that Brett stole.
Yeah.
According to him, not according to us.
Yeah.
According to Shad, he thought it's a shutdown case. We got this locked.
Yeah.
What? Doom doom.
Yeah. Well, I think what's important to mention is that this doesn't mean this. So the fact that he doesn't have the fact that Shad White doesn't have immunity doesn't necessarily means it doesn't necessarily mean that he cannot be or that he is guilty in this particular case. Because although he might have done something similar in a different case, each case is different. So
course.
the judge would look at this specific case. So perhaps the judge will say, you do not have immunity, as already stated in the past, as um, Pat McAfee's team has also stated in their in their um court document. But that only means that the case against you can go on, or at least that your claim of immunity is invalid and does not stand in the way of you of the case going on against you. So if you're filing a motion, whether you're filing a motion or whether it's in the case itself, the judge will not take into account the claim, Shad White's claim that he is untouchable, because that's not the case.
That's probably not the case indeed. But at the end of the day, and as Shad White also pointed that in his motion to dismiss, Brett has still not argued, or at least pointed out something about the validity of the text messages. He has never denied or said they are fake. So that's one of the things that Shad is using as a defense. Like, these text messages are very suspect. At least you can say, what are we talking about over here? It seems like he seems to know what he's talking about. Or at least he might have smelt the manure, but he neglect and just kept going into the quagmire.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah, that he needed the money that strongly, that the greed. I don't know. Who knows, guys? But
Greed, he would argue that it's ambition.
Alleged ambition, alleged greed. Let's put it that way. Anyway, guys, at the end of the day, and the thing that seems to be very clear in both the Pat McAfee, Shannon Sharpe's motion to dismiss, and also
Shad
White, they all point out that, or they're asking themselves, can Brett actually prove actual malice? Because that's defamation. Can he prove? Because it's up to Brett to prove they knew that he didn't steal. But what is what is knowing in this case? If you read the articles, they seem to point out that money was distributed illegitimately towards the projects of Brett. And then you get into a technical term, and I don't know if that's gonna help him in the public eye. Even if he wins these defamation cases and he gets a symbolic number of $1, Will that change how people look at him, RJ?
I don't understand the. So the
So
symbolic.
let's say that
What do you mean with symbolic?
$1. He
So
said,
let's.
I mean, he's trying to sue for his name, right? Let's say he sues, he gets 100 million.
So it's either you stole or you don't. You know, you steal, you've stolen or you haven't stolen. Doesn't matter if it's $1 or $1 million.
No, no,
It's
no. I mean,
it's
if he wins, will the public eye change, the public perception of Brett? So he wins this case based on the fact I mean, the guys, all three guys said he stole the money, and based on a technicality, basically the term stealing is not the right one. Maybe misappropriation will be the best way to describe it. If he wins based on that technicality, will that change the public perception people have right now of Brett?
no, because misappropriation is also bad. But when you say misappropriation, I think half of the people don't know what that is. The-
Spelling bee, please spell misappropriation for me.
uh, that's the one thing. So, and the other half, a misappropriation sounds less. It's less heavy. It has the lighter charge than the word stealing. But I think something that we don't have to forget is that whatever the news is, whatever the outcome is of the court in Mississippi, it will get covered by journalists. And let's say a Stephen A. Smith, a Pat McAfee, a Shannon Sharpe, whoever, if they talk about it and they do it in a way that is conform what is said in the case, right? In the in the judgment, they can continue putting Brett Favre in a bad light because they would be giving their opinion within the context of the judgment. So it's not like we have to forget. We shouldn't forget. We all know the three. You have the three branches of the government, right? The executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. But it is said that there's a fourth branch that has a lot of power, and that is the um, let's say that is journalism, basically, because news outlets, they have a very strong role, or they have a very strong um, ability to make people think a certain way about a certain topic. So I think, as we already mentioned at the beginning of the show, if I'm not mistaken, the public opinion is clear, and I don't think any judgment will change that significantly. Will change the public opinion significantly.
Let's see. I mean, at the end of the day, Brett will probably end up as the Wario meme. Do you know the Wario meme,
No.
RJ? The Wario meme says the following: I've won, but at what
Oh yeah,
cost?
yeah, I know it. Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what will happen? Anyway, let's see. Let's see. I mean, we will of course keep you guys updated on the latest. It seems like we will get within 1 week or two at least the response towards the motion to dismiss from Shannon Sharpe. the response by the lawyers of Brett, of course. And of course, we will cover that as well and see where it goes from here. It's the question is, of course, I mean, Brett is now in a multi. We talked about this the previous show, and now you can clearly see it's going to become a bit more messy because he is in a multi-sided, let's call it war. Now he has to focus on 4 cases simultaneously, trying to get out of the Mississippi one and still trying to prove on the other 3, Shad White, Shannon Sharpe, and Pat McAfee, that they are guilty of defamation. I
Yeah.
think the question is, how much money is he spending on these cases? It must be he's raking up in millions right now. Might be reaching the million already.
4 million. Some.
Easy. So
No, I don't know. I don't. It's definitely going. It's definitely going to. Well, let me put it this way. I hope for Brett Favre's sake that he has the funds to pay his lawyers.
and that is not well, I'm not gonna say whoa. KR. I wanted to say something there, but I think what I was going to say would have brought us as well in that case. RJ, can you recap so we can close this out before we get caught up in some kind of Brett Favre shenanigans and quagmire?
I was also going to Annie up, but I thought that it's best not to. Guys, in today's show, we talked about the latest developments in the Brett Favre versus Pat McAfee, Shannon Sharpe, and Shad White saga. In this particular show, however, we focused more on the developments in the respective cases that Brett Favre has against Shannon Sharpe and Shad White. We talked first about Shannon Sharpe, the fact that he finally responded to the complaint of Shad White asking for a dismissal. So he filed a motion to dismiss, claiming basically that what he did fell on. So, first of all, he expressed his opinion. Second of all, he did it as a journalist, and he should be protected under the First Amendment, which is the amendment to the Constitution that discusses the freedom of speech.
You think you can do this to me?
So he had basically more or less the same arguments that Pat McAfee used, which led KaiR to ask me, or led us to discuss whether or not and or to what extent the lawyers of Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharpe are discussing the respective strategies with one another. With regards to Shad White, we saw that this is not the first time that Shad White is involved in a lawsuit like this.
Are you serious right now, bro? Are you serious right now, bro? Are you serious right now?
But the reason why the reason why his situation is a bit different than Shannon Sharpe and Pat McAfee is the fact that Shad White was not acting as in the capacity of a journalist when he made the additional comments he made, but he was acting as a state official. That has a certain gravity to it because when a state official talks, you assume that he's talking on behalf of the government and or the governmental body that he represents. So his words might have might weigh heavier than the words of a journalist, because the journalists of course base their commentary and their opinions on in this, or at least in this particular case, the opinions of governmental body, governmental official. So you should be able to trust it. So for that reason, his words might weigh more. Shad, however, is saying, one of the arguments he used at least is that, hey, I should have immunity. I should have state immunity as the state auditor of Mississippi. But that would probably not be the case. That would probably not be the case, because this is not the first time that Shad has been in a case like this for talking reckless, as already mentioned. And this is also not the first time that he used this argument, but we should take into account that in the past, the judge has already said you do not have state immunity as a state auditor, which means that he will be prosecuted, or not prosecuted, but he cannot get an exemption based on state immunity if he is to receive a motion to dismiss, or at least if the judge would grant his motion to dismiss, it wouldn't be for the fact that because of the fact that he has state immunity, because he doesn't, or at least according to previous case law. He might get it under a different legal grounds. I guess time will tell. All in all, I think it's safe to say that we can expect this to go for a long while, because as long as Brett doesn't say to himself, you know what, maybe I should stop with what I'm doing, because they have text messages there, and it doesn't look good for me in Mississippi, then the case will continue, and we will be here to keep covering it for you.
Okay, I think we can
continue with the closing, guys. Thanks to each and every single one of you for tuning in to today's pre-recorded live show. A thank you goes out as well to those watching the rebroadcast. Whatever your thoughts are, please let us know in the comment section below. Let us know whether you agree with us or not. Let us know whether you think Shannon Sharpe or Shad White is in the right. Pat McAfee, maybe you see something different. Let us know. If you have suggestions as to topics you want us to discuss, let us know that as well. Remember, guys, first and foremost, to rate the show by pressing to subscribe to the channel. As mentioned, we want to get monetized by the end of June, which means we have a little under 2 months to reach that goal. We are working continuously. Just recently, we started pushing shorts again, and we will definitely start doing that more. We will also be upgrading equipment. We will also be, we'll save something for your imagination. But just rest assured that we're working very hard, and we would really appreciate your subscription. Your viewership helps, your support helps, but subscribing to the channel will help us immensely. Remember to share the video as well with your friends. Share it, of course, with your family. As KaiR said, share it with the state auditor. But don't forget to share the video with
your lawyers as well. And your enemies. Los enemigos.
Los enemigos, guys. And of course, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at Double Thought Show. As KaiR always says at the end of the show.
But I can only show you the door.
And whatever you see behind that door.
Or, here's another idea that's going to be very controversial. You could shut the up.
Or don't text.
Oh, don't text. Anyway, guys.
Let's have a healthy conversation in the comment section below. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see each other in the next one. Until next time. Peace.
Peace.